pattern traders. The more important thing that you need to put on your chart right now real quick is the Monday high and the Monday low, because this Monday range actually broke structure. Keep that in mind. So the Monday high right now is 42.4. The Monday low right now is 39.2. Any sweep of the Monday low is a golden long opportunity to target weekly open. Now, if we happen to go up to weekly open from now, that's a little bit on the bad side. That's going to be basically retesting the breakdown, which is going to offer a massive rejection back down to $39,000. It's safer and healthier to go down from here and then go up, as opposed to do the opposite way around. So I'm sorry about that. Open up keep this in mind too, man. All these lows down here, they're not clean. So if we do happen to break Monday low and we can't keep it or reclaim it, this is going to be a cascade down. This doesn't look good. This is very bad. These lows are very bad. Okay, so talk about the range real quick. Open up you don't have, okay, so let me just talk about how this works real quick. What you want to see, go to a different time frame. What you want to see right now on the daily time frame, you as a bull, the way these things are structured, right? They're high time frame. So it's basically a break in high time frame structure that leads to an impulse in the opposite direction. All in all, the target for me from BTC as a whole, where I'm probably going to exit the market, is still up here. That 53, 52, 55K range, right? So we're still struggling to get above this gap. And the reason why this was important is because this gap led to the multi-month consolidation, right? So let's take this a step further and actually count how long we've been here. We've been in this range for roughly about 97 days. We tapped it on the 82nd day. So this is still a fresh zone to me. Any move into $49,000 more likely than not will result in a short opportunity, but I don't think it's going to break structure. The reason why I'm saying that is because if we went up to here at 38 and we dumped so hard, if this ends up holding its support, right, and it actually creates a higher low, something like this, then chances are when you go back up, this is going to break structure. If you get all the way back up here, it's not going to be, hey, let's go all the way from here to here just to come back down here, right? So if we are in for a structural break, it's going to come from this spot right here. And the reason why this is the spot is because this is the last consolidation before the break in structure. I want to highlight it real quick so you guys could see it. This structure over here is very important. It's also the deviation of the range high, right? So deviation of the range high. Let's make this a little thinner so that you don't get confused with the two, right? One of them is a liquidity grab. One of them is an actual range top. So this is, even if you go to a different time frame, right? This is, oh yeah, dude, I had it pinned already. You went the black route where you bounced off yellow, you hit green, and then you came right back down. And now we went under the mitigation block, which is terrible. Well, disgusting. So now, look at this. Look at the way this looks, right? You had your range high. Where was it? There you go. Sorry about that, guys. You had your range high that probably slapped you 3 times, 1, 2, 3, went up, broke above it, came back down, retested it, made a higher low, made a lower high, and then broke right under it. Now, any kind of movement back up to this red box is going to be a rejection. Now, if we are due for a break-in structure on the macro, meaning to break under all these fucking lows, it's going to probably come from here. So be very careful if we do happen to go back up to $42,000 or $44,000. Very important. If we get above this red, we're more likely than not going to just shoot up straight to fulfill this up here. And at that point, then you want to assume that any movement down is going to be consolidation of a retest into further top side. So this is what I'm planning and hoping takes place. I have no faith in BTC breaking structure yet. But if it does, it will come from this box over here. Just keep that in mind. It will come from 45.3 to 43.8. Now, the immediate, most important level above us from here is obviously going to be this breakdown here, this $42,000 range. If you go on lower time frames, you could see clearly, I like playing the 5-hour a lot. I like playing the 5-hour because it's a lot cleaner than the 4-hour. As you could see here in this yellow box, a trap took place over here, where it broke out, price broke out here at April 10th from 42.6 all the way up to 43, trapped everybody and just broke back down. So now, what did we discuss in the past? Usually what happens when you have these type of traps, you don't revisit them. You're bearish. So this trap should hold for a while if we're bearish. And the downside is going to be to take out all this nonsense down here, right? So again, I like playing the 5 hour because, I mean, it's a cleaner chart for me. The 4 hours, I mean, everybody uses the 4 hour, for God's sake, dude. So I've been using the 5 for the past year, so I prefer it. I'm looking at blue box down here, and I'm looking at red box over here. So these are the two boxes that I'm looking at. Ideally, right, if you want to play what's in front of you right now in the lower time frame within the next 24 to 48 hours, then you want to assume that any movement above, I think it was 42 that we discussed, or was it? Yeah, any movement above $42,000, which is basically this order block, right, allows you and gives you the gas to be able to contest the trap. If you contest the trap and you get above the trap, then you're targeting that $44,000 to $45,000 range. So there's a lot of resistance above us. It's nothing that's going to basically come quick. We are also sitting in an ascending, not even ascending. Our supports we have rising supports. All right, so the minute we break this trend line to the downside, it's going to be a little bit on the ugly side, right? You could paint the picture that this was a failed breakout. You could paint the picture as a failed breakout into a dump. You could also paint the picture from down here, right? And now we have one more dump to something like this. And then this is going to hold us. And then we're going to go back up. There's so many scenarios. You could paint the picture any way you'd like, right? But at the end of the day, no matter what we do or what we say, there is more. The RR to go up is far greater than the RR to go down. And the reason I'm saying that is because all the breakdowns have not been retested, right? So keep that in mind when you're playing lower time frame. Anyway, so this to me, higher low until it's not. Straight up, higher low until it's not. Can this break down and die? Sure, whatever. But I'm still playing this as a higher low until it's not. And I'm watching these levels. The way I discussed it, the 49K level is a massive level for me. And right now, just to get above that 44, 45K range. And then ultimate exit for me is going to be that 53, 54. I can't keep it any more simpler than that. Done. Now, histo. I was getting a lot of DMs about this histo. Let me try to explain them to you guys, how this works. It's a very powerful indicator. And I know that it was recently released, and a lot of people probably didn't take the time or energy to understand it. But let me just explain how this thing works. All right. So you have multiple. Let me get rid of this shit. Oh, yeah. Also, one more thing, guys. Teammate. Where was it? I think it was. Yeah, there we go. 2 week. We've never broken under the 2 week TMA during a continuation to the top side. So if we do happen to break under the 2 week TMA, I would advise on holding off on being an investor and a holder until we get to the green part. But it's not financial advice, but that's what I'm going to do. If we lose that 2 week, I'm probably just going to play the scalp long up, as always, but I'm not going to be opening up new long-term positions until we get to the green zone. Let me close this shit. So real quick update on how the histo works, because I'm getting DMs. Top one has only the signal line, the squeeze line, and the triangles. The bottom is the most important one, which is the histo. So the histo, let me make these dots into a line to look cleaner. The histo to me is one of the most significant aspects of this indicator. Let's make them pink. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so go to your lower time frame. 1 hour. Let's close this on top for a little bit of time being. Open this. So yesterday, a lot of people, a lot of us rather, tried to long multiple times here. And the reason why we did it was because we were hoping that we would catch the bottom. So word of advice when we do this going forward, keep this in mind. We need to have algo fires on the histo. If you see just gray, that means that the dump's not over. Now, sometimes you will get an algo fire after you pump, right? Which is exactly what you want to see. So you have to start counting. The reason why I'm saying counting is because it's important. When you see a bunch of gray like this, and then you see your first algo fire, it more likely than not will result in a dump. And it did. And it dumped. And it dumped. So what is the algo fire on the histo? All it's indicating is that there's volatility that's about to kick in, and bears or whatever trend, if we're at the bottom, we're at the top, either or, that specific side is about to go ham. So when you see a red kick in, that means that the bulls are trying to push the price to the top side, but because we don't have any further attempts, the bears are going to knock us back down, right? So this type of pattern derives from the start of the breakdown. Don't look at price here. Just look at strictly the indicator. The start of the breakdown when we broke that under the zero line until where we are right now, right? So this is basically your pattern from the time that we broke the zero line until here. And what have we done? We only had one red, which indicates what to me? That we're going to get one more fucking dump. There's no way we're just going to go from here, all gray, red, and then break to the top. So after only one red. We're going to get multiple reds, maybe 2 of them to 4 hours, maybe 3 of them. Have a dump in between there, but we need to hope that those dumps are higher lows and not lower lows. That's how I'm playing it. That's how I play the histo. It's very important to understand that because the histo is a very, very powerful freaking indicator. Look at the 12-hour. No red. Nothing. 0, which means that we're obviously going to get another dump. Now, the triangles indicate that price itself hit a level that could reverse. So it's not okay. The way the triangles work is if you happen to get a green triangle right over here, and you're at the top, and you don't have any indication of red at the top, that means that more likely than not, you are going to have a bounce opportunity. If you get a triangle at the bottom, but your histo is at the if you get a triangle at the bottom, but your histo is at the bottom, chances are it's going to act like a dead cat bounce. So it all depends on where the histo is. If you get triangles on the bottom, but the histo's on the top, be a little bit more careful with shorts. If you get a triangle at the bottom, but the histo's on the bottom, be a little more careful with longs, right? Because if the histo's on top, you're bullish. If the histo's on the bottom, you're bearish. I'm going to write that down because you're going to forget. If histo is on top, bullish. If histo is on bottom. I'm going to make another video in detail, even though I did in the past, but probably got lost in all the videos that I made. So this is the most important indicator if you want to catch a potential bottom, right? And if you want to catch a trend reversal, it's going to probably come from here. I'm not even exaggerating. You're not going to reverse without a histo fire. It's quite impossible. The way John built this, he basically, it's not that it's faster than the RSI. It is actually, but it's not that it's faster to the point that you're going to catch lows a lot easier. It's just the fact that if you don't have any histo fires, more likely than not that it's just chop, right? So most of the time, if you look back and you trace it, all the bounces have come from at least the first histo, right? You need to have a histo. And this is a higher time frame. That's why look at the daily. The daily is already red. Very bearish, which more likely than not, once you break under the zero line, we're fucked. So we need to hope that this thing ends up making a whole other curve to the top side, right? This becomes a div, this goes up, and this becomes a div, and then we collapse to the downside, right? That's ideally what I want to see. That's what should happen on the daily time frame. Because if we break under the zero line from here, it's not going to be good, guys. It's going to be a waterfall. But if you're playing on the lower time frame, the way I was showing you guys yesterday, just to get an idea how this works. See how no fucking histo fire at all? You could tell yourself, I'm not going to open up any long until I see the first red histo fire on the 15-minute. That's what I usually do. So you can get all the triangles you want. You can get all the crosses you want, right? All these crosses up, down. Look at this chop. Look how many times this thing went up and down, right? But yet nothing worked until what? You got your first histo fire. So you got your first histo fire, and then what do you look at afterwards? After I get my first histo fire, I look for the red mid. Now, what does the red mid do? The red mid is a squeeze. This. See this? Turn on and off. It squeezes. If you're turning red, let's make it black, because I like black right now. If you turn black on the squeeze, on the mid, that indicates that we are about to have some serious volatility. And if everything lines up for the move to the top side, if you combine this with the histo and then with any other confluence you have from price action, fibs, VWAPs, or whatever you want to talk about, you know that the move's going to be to the top side. So black always indicates that a squeeze is about to take place. Look at this. Black over here too, right? Went from green to black. We're talking about the zero line, by the way, guys, if you can't see this. I'll make it darker. I'll make it darker. There you go. So once the green line turns black, right? Boom. What happens? We pump up. Once the green light turns black, boom. We turn up, right? Green turns black. What happens? We died. Green turned black. What happens? We died. Right? So I don't always use the midline and higher time frame, but on the lower time frame, I always use it without a doubt. I always use the midline without a doubt on lower time frame. So on the daily time frame, it's a little more complicated because it's a little slower, right? But it still could work. Once you got black here, you obviously broke out. You had already broken out with the histos. So this was a no-brainer long over here, right? A lot of us went long here for that reason. Here, we were already bearish. Again, you always have to tell yourself, where is the histo at the time of the black activation, right? Where is it? Bottom or top? If it's in the top, you're bullish. If it's in the bottom, you're bearish. But if you're trying to catch a reversal, right, and you're at the end of the tip, what do I mean by the end? Look at it this way. That's one, and that's two. So if these are your two bottom histo indications, because you cross a zero line here, you cross a zero line here, all you have to do is now start looking for the histo to create smaller histograms. So what do you assume that you have to do, right? Look at the histos as they're becoming smaller and smaller and smaller while they're activating. That's a no-brainer long at that point. And even at the top side, as we're descending, even though we have a bear div here, right? It's pretty obvious, right? It's a bear div. Anyway, as the histos are getting smaller, as we're coming to the zero line, if we get red at the zero line, bear diving, and we're already black, it's a no-brainer dump. So that's how I play the histo, guys. I hope that makes sense. I'll make a detailed video again afterwards. But one thing I want to see right now is the higher time frame. How does the trend bars look? 4, 3, 2. They finally got a black candle. I'm not worried yet until I see it close. If we get multiple 2-day black candles, it's going to be a problem, but I'm not worried yet. Weekly. Yeah, it still looks good. Anyway, guys, just keep in mind, for me, this is going to be a higher low until it's not. It went a little deeper than I'd like, to be honest with you. But for $39,000 was always a level. As long as we don't close under this, it's perfectly fine. We're probably going to get a few multi-day wicks to the downside. So what do I mean by that? You're not going to just keep these little tiny wicks down here. No matter where we go, we're going to have to come back down and take these wicks. So just keep that in mind, guys. And also, again, target 1, target 2, target 3 in the top side. They're nicely painted for this reason. There's a criteria in them. They're not just random. So keep in mind that there's a lot more upside potential than there is downside. Because if we break down, guys, we're going to break down. Like, we're going to break down, right? So keep that in mind. Cheers.